The Fed raises interest rates for the third time this year. Whales are controlling and price manipulating Bitcoin. And find out how your Christmas bonus can add a sizable chunk to your retirement nest egg. Hello and welcome to today's edition of Mexico News Network's Breaking News Business. I'm Elliot Bullman. Let's start with today's information. After a two-day meeting, the Fed raised the target range of the federal funds rate on Wednesday from 1% to 1.25%, the third consecutive quarterly increase. The move follows a record run of jobs growth in the US that has driven the unemployment rate down to its lowest level in 16 years. The Fed also predicted stronger economic growth over the next 3 years. It forecasts 2.5% growth in GDP in 2018, well above its previous forecast of 2.1% growth in 2018, which was published in September. But over the longer term, the central bank still expects economic growth to hover around 2%, rather than the sustained 3% that President Donald Trump is aiming for. In another sign of confidence in the economy, the Fed said it expected to make 3 further increases in rates next year, unchanged from its previous forecast. But that likely doesn't fully factor in the effects of the $1.5 trillion tax cut Republicans are moving through Congress. Some economists think the tax cuts and increased spending plans put forward by the Trump team may trigger higher inflation and force the central bank to raise rates more aggressively. More generally, the central bank faces a balancing act next year. If it raises rates too quickly without being warranted by strong growth, it could strangle the economy. But leaving rates low could spur out of control inflation. Or it could spark financial instability concerns by encouraging financial institutions to make riskier investments to turn a profit, since they earn less interest on loans. In other news, on November the 12th, someone moved almost 25,000 bitcoins worth $159 million for an online exchange. The news soon spread through online forums, with cryptocurrency traders discussing whether that meant the owner was about to sell the digital currency. Owners of large amounts of Bitcoin are often referred to as whales and are becoming a concern for investors. About 40% of the Bitcoins are in the hands of at least 1,000 users, and each one, if he wants, he can sell about half of his possessions in cryptocurrencies, explained Aaron Brown, former managing director and head of financial market research at AQR Capital Management. Regulators have been slow to catch up with the cryptocurrency trade, so many of the rules are still ambiguous. If negotiators not only communicate to raise prices, but also to spread rumors, that could count as a fraud. Bittrex recently published a text in which it warned its users that their accounts could be suspended if they join groups focused on price manipulation. Ordinary investors, of course, don't have the necessary cachet to make a billionaire take his call. While they can track addresses with large stocks online and start heated discussions about market movements in the Reddit forums, they can learn about the plans and motives of the whales. With Ethereum, a Bitcoin rival, the top 100 titles control 40% of the offer. And with currencies like Gnosis, Qtum, and Storj, top titles control more than 90%. Remember that according to Mexico's federal labor law, if you're an employee, you have the right to receive your annual Christmas bonus before December the 20th in Mexico. However, bonuses are commonly used by most to meet year-end expenses, without considering that there are intelligent alternatives to make that money grow. For example, if a worker receives 3 minimum wages as a bonus and saves 1,000 pesos annually up until he reaches retirement age, he could have a cumulative balance of 12% greater than the amount that would have been obtained if he had only contributed 6.5% of the base salary of contribution to an Afore. If a saver investor receives 4 minimum wages and allocates 3,000 pesos per year of his bonus, the accumulated balance would be 29% higher when he reaches retirement. Neil Emberson, director of KNG International Advisors, an investment planning agency operating throughout Mexico, says the extra resources you receive as a bonus can be a very good opportunity for you to start investing and not just leave your money saved. The investment makes your money grow, and if you invest it for several years, the yield will be much higher. He adds that by exploring the potential of this extra end-of-year income in our finances, it allows us to see it as a generator of wealth. Retirement is a long-term financial goal that can be positively impacted from today. And finally, let's turn to the markets. The Mexican peso increased 0.38% to 19.08 from 19.01 in the previous trading session. IPC Mexico increased 1.21% to 48,277 from 47,699 in the previous trading session. This was all for today. Thank you for staying with us. I'm your host, Elliot Bullman. Remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, and log on to MexicoNewsNetwork.com for more information on Mexico and the world. Until next time.